As NAIDOC Week 2025 celebrates the theme of the next generation, strength, vision and legacy, powerful reflections and initiatives highlight both the pride and pressure carried by First Nations peoples. Former NT police officer Zachary Rolfe has rejected key findings from the coronial inquest into the 2019 death of Kumanjai Walker, despite the coroner's conclusions that systemic racism and Rolfe's attitudes contributed to the fatal outcome. Meanwhile, Southern Cross University's Sister Birth project is working in partnership with Aboriginal Health Services to deliver culturally safe, community-led maternity care through its Birthing on Country model. At the heart of this year's NAIDOC narrative, it is an urgent call to recognise the cultural load borne by Indigenous leaders, not just during NAIDOC Week, but year-round, as we continue to lead, teach and hold space in a society that often overlooks the emotional, spiritual and cultural labour that underpins true representation and change. More of that later. Kaya. I'm Leanne Djilandi Dolby and this is the National Indigenous Times Daily News Bulletin for the 9th of July 2025. Former NT police officer Zachary Rolfe has rejected the findings of the coronial inquest into the fatal shooting of the 19-year-old Walpiri Laricha man Kumanjai Walker, labelling them as exceeding the scope of inquest. Coroner Elizabeth Armitage found Walker's death as avoidable and cited Rolfe's attitudes including racism and misogynistic tendencies, attraction to high adrenaline policing, and disregard for authority as contributing factors. She also criticised his sharing of violent arrest footage and his dismissal of a safer arrest plan. Rolfe was acquitted of murder in 2022, denied the findings, particularly any suggesting racism or misconduct, arguing the inquest strayed from its intended purpose. Southern Cross University's Sister Birth project, part of its Birthing on Country initiative, partnered with 3 Aboriginal community-controlled health services to enhance maternity care for Indigenous women in regional and remote Australia. Backed by federal funding, the 5-year project aims to create culturally safe, community-driven maternity plans and integrate smoking cessation support through the university's iSister Quit program. Led by Ugambi woman Kim Yug, the initiative emphasises Indigenous leadership, traditional practices and workforce development. Sister Birth also includes a research component, with midwifery education, scholarships and a legacy book featuring community stories and photography by Bobby Lockyer. As NAIDOC Week 2025 unfolds under the powerful theme, The Next Generation, Strength, Vision and Legacy, many Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander leaders are feeling the weight of a responsibility that runs much deeper than the public eye can see. This reflection draws attention to what is often referred to as the cultural load or colonial load, a unique, enduring burden carried by First Nations people who are called upon to speak, lead, represent and educate during this week and throughout the year. Each year as NAIDOC approaches, the calls begin: requests for speeches, cultural performances, school visits, panels, ceremonies, welcome to countries, along with strategic input. And time after time, Indigenous leaders show up with strength and pride. Beneath the smiles and powerful presence lies an often invisible exhaustion. The toll constantly being the cultural conduit between two worlds. Cultural load isn't just being visibly black in these systems that were not built for First Nations people, but it's also the cultural, spiritual and emotional responsibility to community, honouring elders and upholding traditions while managing everyday pressures, often without adequate recognition or rest. Many say yes even when they're tired because how rare and important these platforms are for themselves and for the next generation. The work being done isn't simply a job, it's a lived commitment. First Nations people are not only organisers and facilitators during NAIDOC, they are cultural educators, the safe spaces, the protocol keepers, and always the ones ensuring integrity in every interaction. This labour is emotional, spiritual and cultural, and often goes unpaid, unacknowledged or misunderstood. This NAIDOC week, the call is clear. Don't just celebrate culture, support the people who carry it. That means acknowledging cultural contributions as legitimate work deserving of pay and time. It means not relying on the same 1 or 2 people every year, but building depth through succession, planning, training, and resourcing. It means creating space for rest, offering flexibility, and asking what support is truly needed. It means co-leading, co-investing, and sharing responsibility, not just inviting First Nations voices to the table, but helping hold the table up. The fire carried by Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander peoples is ancient, sacred, and strong. But even fire needs tending. Allies are urged to check in with those who always show up, those holding space, dancing on dusty ovals, cooking for elders, or being the lone black voice in a workplace. Don't wait for burnout to make these contributions visible. What's needed is not more praise or token gestures, but real backing, deep listening, and collective commitment. Because this work doesn't just stop when NAIDOC Week ends. First Nations people are not here for a moment of recognition. They're here for life. And their ongoing contributions deserve more than a week of attention. They deserve sustained support, care, and shared responsibility for the legacy being carried forward. And that's today's Daily News Roundup from the National Indigenous Times. For more news, head to nit.com.au and please sign up for our free newsletter.